Hare Krishna. Thanks all for joining. So let's start today's class. As we are in the fifth chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. So till now, what we have seen is the foundational concepts where how the four yugas been depicted, like a what is the time duration in each yuga, like a Satya, Treta, Dwapara, and Kali Yuga. What is the duration? And in each yuga, what is the duration of the living entity? Okay. Then what is the way to reach Lord in each yuga? So in Kali Yuga, like okay, we all know everything is impure, and only Lord's name has a purity. That is the reason this yuga been called as like a Nama Yuga, or it is like okay, only Lord's name has a purity. So that is the reason like a chanting being very much stressed, like okay, as a way to reach Lord in this particular yuga. Hmm? Then we have seen what are the difference between like okay various qualities of Vishnu, then Krishna, then Shiva, and how Vishnus are coming from Krishna. So all those expansions like we have seen, and we have seen like okay what is the difference between the spiritual world and material world. Okay, how this material world is called Dukale Ashashvatam, which is full of miseries and full of like a temporary dukkha alayam, like okay, it is the place of miseries, and it is temporary, like okay, ashashvatam. So but in the spiritual world everything is permanent, and everything has like okay the bliss or happiness all the time, okay, eternal happiness. So that is the reason like it has been called as Satchitananda. Sat means eternal, Chit means knowledge, and Ananda means bliss. That is the reason like the Chachitananda means like okay, it is eternal bliss in the spiritual world. We cannot get that in the material world. Okay. So then we have seen like okay how to go from this material world to the spiritual world, because four things are common in this material world, correct? Like okay, Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi, which is birth, death, old age, and disease. These four things are common. No one can get away from this particular thing, correct? However small you may be, however big you may be, like okay, you may be a owner of like a big company, but you cannot stop getting old and uh, dying. Like okay, so that is common. It start from ant to the Brahma. Like okay, Brahma also it is a position. Like it is not the fixed post. Correct. That we have seen. Then we have seen like okay, what are the how the Bhagavad Gita war been like a the scenario been set, correct? Pandavas and Kauravas like were there, and Kauravas headed by Duryodhana was not ready to give the land, five piece of land like to the Pandavas. So at the time Krishna going as a peace messenger to Duryodhana, but Duryodhana like not ready to give even a piece of land. So immediately like the war was inevitable, though the context was war. Okay, though the Bhagavad Gita was spoken on the war field, but never the violence been encouraged like okay by Krishna to Arjuna. So he was talking about all the karma yoga, jnana yoga, Shankhya yoga, bhakti yoga, dhyana yoga, all those yoga only he is talking about. Okay, never he was promoting the violence like okay in Bhagavad Gita. So these are the things like we have seen in the foundational slides. For someone who joined new, like hey, it may be little tough to follow, but all these classes were recorded on the YouTube. So I humbly request like all of you to go through those old YouTube classes, so that like you will get to know, you will get to know like okay how to come up like okay with the pace to like okay what we are covering now. Okay, so Bhagavad Gita is it is Bhagavad Gita. Gita means like a it is a song, and Bhagavat means like a Bhagavan. Why? only Krishna can be called as Bhagavan. Like that also we have seen in one of the sloka, Aishwaryasya Samagrasya Viryasya Yasashashriyaka Jnana Vairagya Yoshaiva Sannam Bhaga Idinkana. So which is uh, if you see Aishwaryasya Samagrasya Viryasya Yasashashriyaka. Aishwaryasya, like okay, it is we can easily remember by the word like okay, Forbes, FORBES, correct? Okay, fame, opulence, then FOR renunciation, then B, okay, which is beauty, E education, which is like a knowledge, F means strength. Okay, all these six uh, characteristics who possesses all the time in full. They only been called as like a Bhagavan, which is only like a Krishna can be called as Bhagavan. Okay, so that we have seen. So now the war field being set like okay, Pandavas and Kauravas were about to fight. So at the time, the Arjuna is unable to fight, like he is giving five reasons not to fight. Okay. So this Bhagavad Gita is like spread across 700 slokas in 18 chapter. Okay. The first chapter name called as, okay, contents, observing the armies in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Okay. So then Krishna, Arjuna is giving these five reasons not to fight, and Krishna is listening all these things. Okay, these five reasons are: one is compassion. He is having bodily attachment towards like his relatives, friends, and family members. Okay, then he is thinking whatever enjoyment I'm going to get, like by killing my own kingsman, I'm not going to enjoy. So it would be like a worrying factor only. Then he is saying like, okay, I am fearful of like a sinful reaction. If I kill my friends and family members, I will get like a bad karma and I will get like a sinful reaction. Then he is saying like a destruction of the family tradition. He is fearful of like the lot of men will die and family the woman will not have like any support and the prostitution and other things like will be predominant. So he is thinking like a family tradition will be destroyed. Then he is unable to take any decision and he is surrendering to Krishna from the friendly form to the disciple form. He is saying, okay, now please guide me what I have to do. So till now, like a Krishna listens very patiently, like and carefully. This how like the first chapter ends, and the second chapter is called the contents of the Gita summarized. Second chapter is the second largest chapter in Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna is giving the summary of all the yogas. Okay, what is a yoga? Can anyone say? What is the meaning of yoga?
Prabhu, yoga means addition with God, connection.
Yeah, connection with the Lord. Okay, so if we are connecting with the Lord by doing our karma, okay, by doing our calm, then it is called karma yoga. If you are connecting with the Lord by doing bhakti, then it is bhakti yoga. If you are connecting with the Lord to by doing the jnana by the gyan marg, okay, then it is a jnana yoga. If you are doing like okay, then Sankhya yoga also will come. Likewise, the yoga is nothing but connecting with the Lord. It is not like a simply sitting idle. Okay, the current modern day, many wrong followers like will try to do yoga. Okay, please, we will bring the peace in you, and we will try to make you calm. Like okay, get away from all the anxiety and other things. Like a yoga is nothing but we have to connect with the Lord. It is not like a simply sitting idle, because our mind cannot be like a sit idle even for a moment, correct? When Arjuna says, okay, Sanchalam ki manaha Krishnaha, I am I am able to control the wind, but I am unable to control the mind, correct? If it is not possible for Arjuna, then how it would be possible for us like to control the mind? It is not at all possible because the yoga was prescribed, the Sankhya Yoga and the Ashtanga Yoga was prescribed for which yoga? Which yuga?
Treta,
Like
Treta Yuga, Prabhu.
no, Maji, it is Satya Yuga.
Ah, yes,
If you
Satya.
see Satya Yuga, like okay, the Ashtanga Yoga was prescribed as a way to reach Lord. In the Treta Yuga, it was about the yajna. Okay, the all the pujas, punaskara, like whatever we do as a yajna, like that is the prescribed way to reach Lord. That is how like a Dasaratha got Lord Ram, correct? Like by doing the yajna. Uh, then in the Treta Yuga, sorry, in the Dwapara Yuga, the deity worship, like the idol form, that is a way to reach Lord. And in Kali Yuga, the way to reach Lord is Nama Sankirtan, correct? Okay, chanting the glories of the holy name. The holy name of the Lord has a purity, so that is the reason. Like they always say, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Because there is no difference between seeing the Lord face to face and chanting this holy name. Both has the same effect, though in our mind we give more importance to the physical meeting with the Lord than the chanting of the holy name. We may differentiate, but Lord doesn't differentiate. Like He invests all His energies in this holy name. Okay, that is the reason even many demigods will be uh, very interested, or very eager to come to this material world because the way to reach Lord is very simple. Chant the holy name and you can reach the Lord. But something which is available very easily, we will tend to ignore, correct? Like, okay, so we don't give that much attention to the chanting of the holy name. That should be, that should not be happening. Okay, so we have to follow the holy name, like we have to respect the holy name. So that is the importance of uh, the chanting of the holy name. So then Krishna listens all these things, then he is explaining all this yoga in the second chapter. Okay, contents of the Gita summarized. So first he is talking about the Sankhya philosophy, where he's saying we are not the body, we are the soul. Okay, because Arjuna giving one reason, like a compassion on the bodily platform, but now here Krishna says, okay, don't think that okay you are killing all of them, because you are not killing the soul, because soul can never be killed. Then he is mentioning we are not the body, we are the soul. Then he is explaining about the 30 characteristics of the soul. Soul cannot be like a submerged in the water. Soul cannot be like a put into the fire. Soul is eternal. Soul is imperishable. Soul is like a material body is perishable. Soul is imperishable. All those things like he's saying. Then he is explaining the size of the soul also. Can anyone say like what is the size of the soul? Atma's size.
Hare Krishna, the size of the soul, I'm Neeraja. The size of the soul is 1 by 1 lakh part of the tip of the hair strand, one hair strand.
Very good, Mataji. Very good. Like a very nice. Yeah. So this is the size of the soul. So very minute. Okay. So in our body, okay, now I am being called as Vasant, correct? So I am if I consider myself as a body, then after I die, my body will be called as dead body, correct? So what is making me as Vasanta, like what is making me as alive in this material world is nothing but that soul. So that is the reason, like we are not the body, we are the soul. That soul makes us live in this material world or in the spiritual world. That soul is eternal. In this life, I am taking as a body of a human. Okay. In the next life, that soul may take any body, okay, out of 84 lakh species. Depends upon our karma. So as long as we are in this material world, we have to take like a punarapi maranam, punarapi jaranam. Okay, again and again, birth, death, old age disease, birth, death, old age disease. This is how like okay, we take this birth and the death in this material world, but we have to get away from this cycle. How we can get away? by going to the spiritual world, by doing the devotional service. Okay, that is how like he is explaining about Sankhya philosophy. Then he is just moving to Karma Kanda, because as a Kshatriya, Arjuna's task is like to fight to protect Dharma. But Arjuna giving the reason, okay, I'm not going to fight because I am thinking like, okay, sinful reaction. Then Krishna says, no, no, no. As a Kshatriya, your duty is to fight. If you are not fighting to protect Dharma, then you will get sinful reaction. Then he says, if you fight and win, you will get the earthly kingdom. If you fight and lose, you will get the heavenly kingdom, because you are protecting for Dharma. Okay, you are fighting to protect Dharma. So please stand up and fight. Okay, that is how he's saying. And one more thing is, if you run away from the battlefield, then you will be scorned by many other members, which would be like a very, very dishonor to you. For a Kshatriya, dishonor is like a worse than the death. Okay, so please like a stand up and fight. Then that is how he's influencing like, okay, Arjuna to fight by talking about the Karma Kanda section of it. Then he is just elevating to Karma Yoga or Nishkama Karma Yoga. Karma Kanda is, you do your work, you will get the result. You enjoy the result or suffer that result. Okay, that is Karma Kanda. Then Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga or Nishkama Karma Yoga means you do the work, you will get the result. That result surrender to the Lord. Then by doing that, you will not have like any sinful reaction. Then you will not have any, you don't need to take both in this material world again. So this how like a Krishna is elevating Arjuna from the Karma Kanda to the Nishkama Karma Yoga. Then after listening all these things, like, okay, Arjuna having a query, how is it possible like someone doing all this work and still like, okay, they are not attached. Sthita Prajna, their name is like a Sthita Prajna, how they can handle themselves in this material world, how they walk, how they sit, how they react to a situation. Then he's basically asking like a symptoms of a self-realized soul. For that, like a Krishna is explaining, they don't have any sense to enjoy. They always have a steady mind. They don't differentiate between good and evil. They treat all the moment as like, okay, the blessing from the Lord. Then they have the taste for devotion service. Devotion service is nothing but like, okay, doing any activity for devotees or like, okay, to the Supreme Lord. Then they will control their senses and they will do like everything for the sake of the Lord. Then Krishna is saying like, hey, one who is not, everyone wants to have the steady mind, peace and happiness in this world, correct? If we are not connecting to the Supreme Lord, then we can never if we are not doing the devotion service, we can never have a steady mind. If we don't have the steady mind, then we cannot have the peace. If we don't have the peace, we cannot have the happiness. So this is how like, okay, the second chapter ends. Then the third chapter, which is called Karma Yoga. So in the Karma Yoga, the first start of it, Arjuna is asking the question, uh, if you think like, okay, the renunciation is better, renunciation is like a, what Arjuna is thinking, you don't need to do the work. Okay, renunciation of the work. But what Krishna is saying is renunciation in the work. You do the work, you will get the result. That results you renunciate, not the work itself. So that query being put forth like, okay, by Arjuna, then Krishna is answering, no, 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 you don't renunciate the work, you renunciate only the results of the work. Okay, that is how he's saying. Then even King Janaka and all the great personalities like the 12 Mahajans, everyone everyone did their work perfectly, and they set the great example for the future generation. So even as a Krishna, I don't have any task to perform, but still I will do all the work properly so that like others will follow. I will not set the wrong example for others. So that is how like he is talking about the Varnashrama Dharma, Varna and Ashrama. Why the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Sudra, uh, uh, what is it? Like, okay, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Sudra, then brahmachari, grahastha, vanaprastha, and sannyasi. So these vaishya, like okay, vaishya, brahmana, kshatriya, shudra, vaishya. So all these varna and ashrama, like why it has been created, like why how this task been assigned, and it is not by the birth, it is by guna and karma. Like okay, guna and it is about uh, their activities as well as like their modes of nature, like in that manner it would be assigned. Then in the 3.30 he is for 2.7 karpanya doso pagada svabhavaga, like where Arjuna is surrendering to Krishna as I don't know what to do, like please help me to do. Then for that, like he is answering here 3.30, which is a purpose of Bhagavad Gita, where he's saying like Mai Sarvani Karmani Sanyasatyatma Chetasaga Nirasir Nirmamo Bhutva Yuddhayashva Vigata Jwara, where he's saying without any self motive, without any lethargy, like free from the lethargy, without envy, follow my teachings carefully and like a stand up and fight. Okay, then Arjuna having a query like, okay, knowing all these things, but still like, okay, we are doing a lot of sinful reaction. What is that? Why we are doing that? Then Krishna says, it is lust only, Arjuna. Lust is nothing but anything which is not connected to Krishna. If we want to achieve something for our own personal benefit, that is called a lust. If lust is fulfilled, okay, you have a desire, the desire is fulfilled, then it becomes like a greed. I want to achieve more. I want to achieve more. I want to achieve more. If the desire is unfulfilled, then it becomes anger. Like okay, the anger will be created in us, and we want to achieve more. Like okay, this is how the connection between lust, greed, anger. These three are the three gateways to hell. If we want to go to hell, then we can have more lust, more greed, and more anger. Okay, which we don't want to do. Like okay, correct, everyone wants to go to the heaven or to the spiritual world, not to the hell, correct? So then how to control this lust and greed and anger? So for that Krishna says, okay, we have to control our senses, mind, intelligence, which is all these things are like a covering the soul's intelligence towards the spiritual world. So if we control or engage our senses, mind, intelligence in a right way from the material things to the spiritual things, then we can get away from this lust, greed, and anger. So that is how he is ending the third chapter, by regulating our senses. Then the fourth chapter, which is called transcendental knowledge, then Krishna says, okay, this chapter is very, very important because us, lot of us like know about this particular chapter, yeah, because of like in the Mahabharata, correct? So Krishna says, okay, this transcendental knowledge I explained to sun god Vivaswan. When Vivaswan to Manu, like okay, it has been passed from Manu to like Ishwaku, but over a period of time, like this knowledge been the disciplic succession been broken, and whenever there is a decline in religion and irreligious practices like okay being predominant, I appear a millennium after millennium. That is what like okay, yada yada gidharmasya glanirбhavati bharata abhyudhanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chatuskrudam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So to annihilate the miscreants, to re-establish the religious practice, I appear millennium after millennium. That is how, like, okay, Krishna says. Then Arjuna having a query. Sun God is very, very old in age. You are explaining to me now. How can I understand? Then Krishna says, both uh, birth like a you and me taking, you remember only the current life to Arjuna. But as a Krishna, like I know that what has happened in the past, what is happening in the present, what is going to happen in the future for all the living entities. So that is how Krishna is establishing his authority. And how to get away from the material world. So janma karma chame divyam evam yo vetti tattvadaha tattva deham punarjanma naiti mamiti. So Arjuna 4.9, where Krishna says, okay, only with my transcendental appearance and transcendental pastimes, if we know, then we don't need to take birth in this material world again. So that is how he is establishing his authority. Then again, like here again being talked about like the varnashrama dharma, how the varnashrama dharma for each varna and ashrama, what is the prescribed duty? Like for a brahmachari, he will what tasks he will do. Grahastha, what tasks he will do. Like all those things being explained in detail. Then he is talking about karma, akarma, and vikarma. Karma means prescribed duty. Okay, the task assigned for a housewife or a office going person. In that also, like there are two tasks. One is spiritual task. The other is like the material task. So those things has to be done. Then akarma means like do your karma, do your task, but surrender the results to the Lord. That is what. Then two things will happen. One is we don't need to take birth in this material world again, and we will not have any sinful reaction. That is what the beauty of doing a karma. Surrender everything to Lord. Okay. Then vikarma means forbidden action, like which has not been prescribed in the scripture. Okay, some we are committing sin, we are committing like bad to others, like all these things are forbidden action, which has to be like which is called vikarma. We should not do that. So that details been explained over there. Okay, how to go from this material world to the spiritual world also being explained here. Okay, then the fifth chapter, which is called Karma Yoga, Action in Krishna Consciousness. The third chapter, initial question being asked again by Arjuna to Krishna. Is it like a renunciation is better or work in devotion is better? Then Krishna says both are like a same, but the time taken for renunciation would be more compared to the devotion service. That is how we have seen uh, doing devotion service is as good as going to the floor 1 to the 100, like by using the lift, correct? But the renunciation is going to the floor 1 to 100 by using steps. Both will help us to reach the destination, but the time taken will differ, correct? Going by lift is so easy and quick, and going by steps is like a hard and it will take time. So do the devotion service, which is faster and easier to do in this material world. Okay, that is how he says. Then by doing the Nishkama Karma Yoga in the platform, on the platform of knowledge, how we can do we can attain the Lord, we can attain the lotus feet of the Lord. That is what we have seen. Then the three doers, like which is the soul, super soul, and the material nature. Soul desires to achieve something, super soul approves it, and the material nature helps to get the things done. Okay, so that is what we have seen. Like then we are seeing liberation through focusing one's consciousness on the super soul. So that we are seeing it now. Then the rest of the sloka, like in the fifth chapter, we will see like Ashtanga Yoga, Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, all those 8 stages of like the Ashtanga Yoga that we will see, which is a little hard to perform in this material world because that Ashtanga Yoga been prescribed for the Satya Yuga. Okay. So then the peace formula we will see like on the platform of liberation, how the peace formula will be applicable, like how we can attain the peace in this material world. Okay, Hare Krishna. Till now we have seen only the revision. I am little more focusing on this revision because to keep everyone on the same stage, please like spare more time to listen the previous classes, so that like you will be able to understand like what is being explained in the class. Hare Krishna. So let's go to today's sloka. So this sloka we have seen in the last week, like 5.19. Those whose minds are established in sameness and equanimity have already conquered the conditions of birth and death. They are flawless like Brahman, and thus they are already situated in Brahman. They are on the platform of knowledge. Okay, they will see the sameness and equanimity. By doing that, like they are already conquered the birth and death. So they will be called as like a Brahman because they understood like okay, they are not the body and they are the soul. Okay. One more thing, like in another 5 minutes, the Zoom connection will be disconnected. Please rejoin again. Okay, we will have the class till 9 o'clock. Hare Krishna. The next sloka, 5.20. न प्रगृह्येत् प्रियं प्राप्य नोद्विजेत् प्राप्य च प्रियं स्थितबुद्धिरसम्मूढो ब्रह्मविद् ब्रह्मणि स्थितः. Sthitaka means like a situated. Nodvijet, okay. Nodvijet means does not become agitated. They are not agitated, correct? So a person who neither rejoices upon achieving something pleasant nor laments upon obtaining something unpleasant, who is self-intelligent, who is unbewildered, and who knows the science of God is already situated in transcendence. The same topic we have seen in one another place. Let's see like who can grasp very quickly. The same topic we have seen now. In which chapter and what they are
Prabhu,
called as?
chapter 3 is Sthita Pragya, Prabhu.
Chapter 2, Prabhu. Your statement is correct. It is Sita
Yeah,
Prajna.
Prabhu, chapter 2, yeah.
Chapter 2. They've been the same qualities been explained in chapter 2 also. Okay. Sita Prajna. Because Arjuna is asking the symptoms of the self-realized soul, correct? So whatever we are seeing from chapter 3 to 18 will be touched upon by Krishna some or the other way in the second chapter. Okay, a person, yeah, because that is a summary, like a contents of the Gita summarized. Okay, so a person who neither rejoice upon some achieving something. Okay, I achieved something great. I got a promotion. I got like a excellent appreciation from the management. I should not be rejoiced. Okay. Or I got like a very bad scolding from the office. I got like a very disappointing performance. So I should not be like a very lamenting. Okay. So that is what he's saying. A person who neither rejoice upon achieving something pleasant nor laments upon obtaining something unpleasant, who is self-intelligent, because we all know everything is permanent, everything is temporary, correct? Being very happy moment will not sustain for long. The sad moment also will not sustain for long, correct? Because everything is temporary in this material world. That is the reason it has been called as dukalayam ashashvatam. Shashvatam means permanent, ashashvatam means like a temporary. And we all know we came here temporarily, like okay, we have a birth date and we have the expiry date also, correct? So we are not the body, we are the soul who is self-intelligent, who is unbewildered, like they never become bewildered. That is the reason many sannyasis, if you see, they are not too much attached to this material world. Whatever happening in this world will not bother them. Sometimes like hey, it may bother so much them because people are suffering, that will bother them, correct? Because people are not doing the devotion service and being going behind money, wealth, fame, etc., etc. Everything is temporary. Please, like okay, let us not become bewildered. Okay, and who knows the science of God is already situated in transcendence. They are able to reach the spiritual world by using this jnana platform. Okay, they have to understood this. That is what uh, where we can understand all these things and we can practice all these things. So where all these things can be performed, like a where um, we can implement this is to in our mind, intelligence, and senses. Because our mind is nothing but the storehouse of all those whatever we are seeing. Today we are seeing one Benz car. Okay, immediately like it is getting registered in our mind. That too, like okay, if our neighbor has or our colleague got a Benz car, then immediately like it gets registered. Oh, I have only Toyota. She got like okay the Benz. Let I don't know like when I'm going to get this particular car. So that is how the things will get registered in our mind, and it will get provoked when the situation arises. Correct. So in our mind we have to keep only like a things necessary for our devotion service. That is very very important. We should not store all the unnecessary things in our mind. Okay. So by doing that we will be able to attain the transcendental platform on the platform of knowledge. Okay, on the platform of the jnana. So that is what being explained here. That is how we can try to become the sthita prajna. Okay, we can try to become the self-realized soul. Okay, the 5.21 bhagyasparsev asaktatma विन्दति आत्मनि यत् सुखम् स ब्रह्मयोगयुक्तात्मा सुखम् अक्षयम् अश्नुते. We all know what is sukham. Sukham means happiness, correct? Akshaya means unlimited. Such a liberated person is not attracted to material sense pleasure, but is always in trance, enjoying the pleasure within. In this way, the self realized person enjoys unlimited happiness, for he concentrates on the Supreme. Because the same thing in the second chapter, also, we have seen one who is not having the self realization, or one who is not doing the devotion service, he can never become have a steady mind, he can never become uh, peaceful, he can never get the happiness. Correct. But here all those things will be explained how he can get the happiness, because he is a liberated soul. He is not attracted to all the material things. Okay, he is always in trance, and he is enjoying the pleasure within. He is able to connect to the Lord. In all of us, which Vishnu is present?
Shirodakshaya Vishnu.
Shira, yeah, Shirodakashai Vishnu, correct? The super soul is present in every living entity. That is the reason we should never disrespect anyone. We have to Suhurdam Sarva Bhutanam, okay? Suhurdam Sarva Bhutanam means like, okay, he's a friend of everyone. Lord is a friend of everyone. The similar way, we also need to treat everyone as a friends, because Lord is present in every one of us. Okay, we don't need to have the enmity or fight with anyone. Not only human being, not even with any animals also. Okay, so we have to take care of all the living entities. Okay, he will, by doing that, like okay, he will enjoy the unlimited happiness. For us, he is concentrated on the supreme. He is not connecting with like okay, the uh, material sense pleasure. It is to the spiritual thing. That is what when someone is so attached to the material sense, uh, the acharyas or the great scholars will comment to them. It is not about sense pleasure. It is not more sense pleasure. We want to achieve more sense pleasure, correct? It is not about more sense pleasure. It is more than the sense pleasure. We have to think and feed in our mind. We By doing the devotion service, we will get more happiness than the sense pleasure. Okay, that is how we need to feed our mind. It is not about more sense pleasure, it is more than the sense pleasure. Okay, correct. Now the next sloka. ये हि संस्पृशजा बोहा दुःखयोनय एव ते आदि अन्तवन्तः कौन्तेय न ते सुरमते बुधः. An intelligent person does not take part in the sources of misery which are due to contact with the material senses. This is what we have seen, correct? We have to control our senses. The connection, how it goes: first senses will direct the mind will be directed by the intelligence, and the intelligence will be guided by the soul, correct? So first we need to curb the first sitting place of the lust, which is senses. Okay. O son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning and an end, and so the wise man does not delight in them. So that is the reason the wise person who will not have like any attachment to the senses, material senses, and they will not have like a so much importance to the material sense pleasure. Okay, because it has a beginning and an end. Take it anything. Okay, you have a you are very happy when you see like some movies. Okay, when some actor like you are a famous actor, if he's acting a movie like then you will be so happy. That will have beginning and end. You can watch that movie for 100 times. Okay, but after that you will get distasteful, correct? The same thing repeated again and again, we will get like a sometime distasteful, and we gets bored, correct? So that has a beginning and that has a end. But the spiritual thing, spiritual happiness doesn't have any end. It is eternal. It is always full. That is the reason we have to connect to the spiritual task and we have to do the devotion service. Okay. So with this, like we will try to end today's sloka, which is 22. Let's connect to the purports. Purports is nothing but like a represented in the pictorial representation. So we see 5.20, 21, 22. Any doubts till now? Please feel free to ask the doubts anytime.
Yeah, I have this doubt. See, in the second chapter, you were talking about, each varnas were there and, what Kshatriya has to perform and each person has to do.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Now, how was a varna decided? Like, I mean, I didn't get that part.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, does that mean that, anyway, definitely
Hmm.
it is not by birth. That's what I understand.
Yeah.
So, so a person, if he joins the army, I mean, irrespective of the varna, does he become a Kshatriya?
Yeah,
That's what was running in.
yes, Prabhu. Like, okay, Manoj, it would be like a based upon the guna and the karma. Okay, it has been explained by the Lord. It is not by the birth. It is guna and karma. Okay, guna means like the mode of nature, how you were, you been like okay, accustomed, how you been like okay, brought up, and your activities. That is what like going to decide the teacher's son will not be eligible to become a teacher until he goes through all those things, correct? Like all those needed the courses. The similar way, the Brahmana's son would not be a Brahmana by birth. He has to learn all these things, scripture, and he has to practice, and like um, uh, he has to like give it to others. Okay, in this Kali Yuga, everyone is Shudra. There is no one as a Brahmana or like okay Vaishya or Kshatriya. Everyone is like a Shudra, but with the modes like we inherit with the modes like okay we perform, and by the devotional service we elevate ourselves to the Brahmana or Vaishnava category. Then like to the what to say like okay the Kshatriya category, like you mentioned the army man. Okay, if he does, if he goes to the army as like okay I don't have any other work, I am not fit for anything, so let me just go and survive over there. then he can't be called as like the real Kshatriya. Someone having a real passion to protect the motherland, to protect like okay their people like from the opponent attackers. Okay, then they will be called as a real Kshatriya. That Kshatriya also like they have to protect for the dharma. It is not for their own personal need.
Hmm.
Okay, it is based upon guna and karma.
Okay.
Guna means like in the modes you inherit, there is a sattva gun, rajagun, and a tamogun, correct? That is what the guna, and it is based upon the activity. These two things will decide which varna we will become.
Okay.
Okay, yeah,
And the next one was, since the soul doesn't, it doesn't die, right?
yeah,
There's
correct,
no
yeah,
destruction of soul.
yeah,
So in that case, when people die, we shouldn't be sad. But
yeah,
it's the other way, yeah.
yeah,
We all
correct,
feel
yeah.
sad.
Exactly. Yeah. That is the reason. Because always like people associate with the body, correct? Okay, it is my son, my daughter, my father, my mother. That is like a related to the bodily platform we are connecting. And that too, like okay, on this life, we never know what is my relationship with my father in the previous life. I don't know what living being like he was and I was. Okay, in this life, I got him as a father and I got him as a mother. I got her as a mother. So I am getting connected like the relationship is being like okay created. But actually intact like okay it would be we have to connect with the Lord, Supreme Lord, who is going to be our eternal Father. There is no second thought about it. So we always need to associate with the soul because the soul transmigrates from one body to another body. So that is the reason we need to think this is going to be my last life in this material world. Let me not take any more birth in this material world. That is what our mood has to be. So for that, what we have to do? We have to do the devotion service. Okay, how to do the devotion service? In which yuga we are in? We are in Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga, like everything is contaminated. Only Lord's name has a purity. So that is the reason by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. By chanting the glories of the holy name, we can attain the Lord. Okay, what is this holy name represents? What is the meaning of Hare? Hare means it is an internal potency of Krishna. Okay, which is nothing but Srimati Radharani, the pleasure potency. Okay, so Hare Krishna. Krishna means all attractive. Whatever you see in this world, you are attracted to a very beautiful girl or like a very beautiful object or very beautiful car. All those things are incomparable compared to the beauty of Krishna. Okay, that is what Krishna is all attractive. So Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Rama means is a pleasure potency again. Like okay, so Rama means Lord Balram, Lord Ramachandra, and like a Parashuram. All three of them like being represented over there. So that is how like by chanting the 16 syllable mantra, it is called Maha Mantra. For all the other mantras, there are rules and regulations to chant. For chanting Gayatri mantra, you have to like take bath and you have to like sit in front of the Lord. You have to like okay follow certain rules and regulation. But for to chant this mantra, this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, there is no rules and regulation because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given this mantra freely to all the conditioned souls. Okay, for everyone, he has freely distributed. But the only thing is like we are not giving the importance of chanting. So we have to perform this chanting, the Nama Sankirtan Yajna, then we can go back to the spiritual world. Okay?
Hare Krishna. I have one question. I
Yeah, yeah.
wanted to ask, you keep, I mean, I have attended classes before, and everybody says, like, even in the previous classes, it was said that, you have to um, kind of leave all the look for material benefits in anything you do and have to offer it to the Lord, whatever service, karma yoga, basically.
Yeah, correct.
So, but how is that possible? Like, you go to work, or like you try to put effort in your child,
Yeah.
you try to do everything, whatever possible you can, and
Yeah.
you eventually will have expectation from it, right? Like,
Yeah, correct.
I mean, when I'm putting so much of effort for my child, I'll have a 10% expectation that she will pick up and she'll
Yeah.
do something and
Yes.
everything. And if it doesn't happen, yes, we feel bad about it and
Yeah.
like that, right? So
Yeah.
how do you kind of get over that zone? Like, you have certain expectations from people,
Yeah.
basic expectations.
Very, very nice question, Madhuri. Like a very, very nice question. Okay. I'll just try to answer. So, here also, while Arjuna was on the warfield, when Krishna is teaching Bhagavad Gita, he's not saying, okay, do Nishkama Karma Yoga. Sorry, do the sannyasa. He says, do the Nishkama Karma Yoga, but keep me in the center. Okay. When we are going to the work, if we think, okay, I am going to the work for my own benefit, for my own uplift, upliftment, then it becomes karma kanda. Okay. I work, I get the result, I enjoy the result, or I suffer the result. Correct? If
Right.
we are doing the Nishkama Karma Yoga, just to keep Krishna in the center. Okay, how I came into this existence via Krishna. How I got this family via Krishna. Okay, Krishna, I am doing this task for you. The husband or wife or children are nothing but they are not mine. They are the representative of you. I have been given the responsibility to take care of them. Hmm? I have given the responsibility to take care of them, because at the end of the day they are also the childrens of you, correct? Like, okay, childrens of Krishna. So let me try to do the work. Let me surrender the results to the Lord. Krishna never says do not have the attachment to the work. Okay. He says do your work, okay, without any self motive, without any envy, without any lethargy also. He never says, okay, you are not going to get the result. You are not attached to the result. Don't be bothered with the result. He says, okay, no, without any lethargy, please stand up and fight. My sarvani karmani sanyas adhyatma chetasaga nirasir. Nirasir means like a without any desire. Nirmamo, not mine, like a nirmamo, putva yuddhayasva vigada jwara, vigada, like okay, without any lethargy, fight. In our office environment also, we have to put our 100% or more than the 100%, okay, so that we can be as a role model for others. Oh my goodness, how he is it possible for him to do the devotional service and perform excellent in his uh, work, and still he is not attached to any of those results. He is surrendering to Krishna. So that is how we have to do. That is the reason if you see many of the Krishna consciousness persons, okay, who are doing like a devotion service in a perfect manner, they can excel in their work because they don't have any deviation. They are very fixed in their mind. Okay, let me do my assigned job in a perfect manner because I am doing it for the sake of Krishna, for the to Krishna. Like, okay, I am doing it for Krishna. So I whatever results I am going to get, I will pass it to Krishna. Okay, the same way, if you are putting a lot of pressure to the kids, kids has to learn because they have to learn the academical knowledge as well as the spiritual knowledge so that they can be a better person in the society. So we are putting the effort. We have to put like, okay, we have to ensure that they are getting the right knowledge. But at the end of the day, don't take any results. Okay, it is my kid. Because of my effort, he becomes a good person. He becomes a IAS, or he becomes this position. No, don't take the credit. You give You surrender all those credits to Krishna. It is simple. It is in our consciousness. We don't need to externally do, oh, I am doing this like, okay, for Krishna. No. If you are talking to yourself, Krishna, because he is Antaryami, correct? He is inside
Mm,
in us. He will monitor everything. Sometimes we may not be able to externally, like, okay, do something, but if we, Krishna, given the situation I am unable to do, please, like, okay, guide me and please take this results. For example, you are presenting in a board meeting. You may not be able to say, like, they are giving the credit. At the time, you can't say, okay, nothing I have done, everything, like, okay, it is, it has to go to Krishna. You don't need to explicitly announce. You can
mm,
tell yourself in Antaryami,
mm,
Krishna, like, all this credit, I don't belong, I don't deserve to take any of this credit. It is to you. Please, like, okay, ensure that I'm not getting puffed up. Okay, I'm not getting like overwhelmed with this particular thing. That consciousness matters. That's all.
mm. And even when you're trying to convey something and the other person is not understanding and they are not listening to you, it could be anything for an addiction and, alcohol consumption,
Yeah,
anything, and you're
yeah,
trying to explain them and the other person doesn't listen to you. Even
yeah.
then, you just, you do your part and just
And
leave.
pray.
That's it.
Exactly, man. Like
Right.
you tell them once, twice, thrice, then you don't waste like a time because you know that that guy like is not going to listen. His time will come because he has to
Mm,
be directed by Krishna. So you pray for them to Krishna. Krishna, please like please guide them. You keep them in your prayers, and you don't like
mm.
stress yourself. You don't get like okay yourself demotivated with all those things.
In the third chapter, they don't,
Right, right,
they won't disturb the
right.
Yeah. Okay, so that is
Okay.
very important. Yeah, very nice question, Madhuri. Like a very practical one, which would be helpful for others also.
Yeah, because I'm trying to imbibe. I've attended the classes and quite a few things which I have started implementing is like before I eat, I offer it to Krishna, whatever. Even if somebody offers me a chocolate, I think momentarily that I'm offering it to Krishna and then I consume. So it's like I've imbibed quite a few things since my first session of Bhagavad Gita, and then now I want to advance, like I want to take it to the next level. But yeah, I still need a lot of improvement from myself and there's a lot of self discipline, which I
Yeah, yeah,
admit I'm not chanting the mantra like you say 16 malas you have to do. I'm not doing that. I keep chanting, but I don't keep a count. It's like that. So
yeah,
somebody
yeah.
recommended me that the classes are happening, so I just joined since last week only.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for joining. Like,
Thank you.
definitely, these classes will help you to further improve. Okay, Krishna giving you the knowledge. Okay, then the thing is, why we have to keep 16 rounds? Like, we have to have like some discipline. Otherwise, like we may chant as per our wish. Okay, sometimes I have some free time. I will chant more. Sometimes, like I'm
Mm,
having busy schedule. Like I will not chant. I will give reason.
mm,
Again, we always give like a reason for not chanting or chanting. So for that reason,
mm,
like to bring the discipline, minimum 16 rounds. You can chant like as many rounds as you want, like a more than 16 also, and have a discipline like a routine in our life, which would be helpful for all of us. Like if in that manner, the prescribed rounds been given by His grace, His divine grace, like Srila Prabhupada uh, because that will help us like to get the love to the Lord. Okay.
mm. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? I us like we are overshooting the time. Let's cover this purports like in the upcoming class. Any other questions? Please like ask more questions because these questions will help us to further improve correct collectively in doing the devotional service. Hare Krishna.
Hare
If
Krishna.
Yeah, if no further questions, like we will try to end the class today. I will share the recording.